JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 23 as always. And today's video was actually recorded quite some time ago. I think probably like a month or 2 months ago at this point. This is a league called CCRL. The owner is a good friend of mine called Urban, and he invited me to take part in this tournament where there's a cash prize for the top 3 of the championship. And because this is really just for good and fun, and the skill level is kind of varied throughout, I agreed to start last in every single race. And I've already uploaded the Las Vegas one, which was a very entertaining one, which went down right to the wire, which I uploaded quite some time ago. But you can see this guy called Blockman is actually a very fast driver. And since I am not qualifying, I'm starting last, I think it's actually going to be quite a challenge to maybe do a last or first in this tournament, and he looks the guy who's probably going to get pole every single time. So this is a 25% race. We'll be uploading the remaining races very shortly, but we're going to start on the medium tyres. We're in last, and we just got to do the best we possibly can. But the safety car is turned on, so I was very much relying on this to get myself back in the race. So we've got 5 bites here, and as they go out now, we actually get a very, very good start. But I'll be talking through what I was really thinking throughout this race, and I think some of the decisions I made actually provided me to end up having a pretty good result at the end. But you can see here, just trying to get through the first lap unscathed. We actually had quite a bit of contact, but luckily no damage was occurred to the cars. Already up to P13, so making up 7 positions on those first couple of corners. And yeah, you certainly cannot win the race in the first lap, but you can definitely lose it. So just make sure you get through without any damage. You can see another guy has gone off here and maybe trying to pick off another person here. Was thinking about it using that ERS, but decided to then back out of it because ERS does run out very quickly around this circuit. So I have to use it at the right time. See, Blockman has already crossed the line. This guy getting a bit of a poor exit, so we're going to use that ERS, but having to use more than I would like, because I really need to try and get this through the field really quickly. So braking super deep into someone, just about keeping the car on the track, but using more battery than I would have really liked here. So I really wanted to try and win this race, but I knew Blockman, who was quite a fast driver, I would say on raw pace, there's probably maybe about half a second between us. So I felt like I had half a second more pace over him, but since he is starting on pole position, doesn't really have any obstacles, I'm going to have to make sure I get through this field quite quickly and win a first couple of laps. Like in real F1, he could probably extend that gap to quite a substantial amount. So we're into P11, almost into the points already, as this guy is going a little bit wide, so we're going to take advantage of that, up into P10, and now we've got to try and get within this DRS zone. But you're probably wondering, why am I not pushing here? And that's because, again, the ERS is quite sparse around here. So see Blockman or NLC Racing actually doing the fastest lap of the race, because I think he's on the soft tyres. We come home, come across the line in P10 if I can speak properly, and we didn't push to get within the DRS zone here, because even if I did, I would have just caught up to him quite quickly and I would have just been wasting the battery. So I decided not to use it because I knew I'd probably be catching him towards the end of a lap, and as you can see, that's exactly what we have done. So we've got Dutch Verstappen here, good friend of mine, and I think he just lets me go. So we're using a bit of the battery, but I'm pretty sure he just backed off there. So being quite nice, we're on a bit of a different strategy. So he decides to let me go, and we've got this guy up ahead who I'm not even going to try to replicate what his name actually is, but we're in the DRS zone now. And again, you'll just see we're going to be very patient on this battery. Going to try and save it to see how much raw pace we have at the end of the race, because Austria is a very strong track for myself, so I'm not using any of the battery here. And what we're going to do was thinking about going down the inside, setting a purple first sector, but trying to get a really good exit, so get some really good traction on these medium tyres. Now we're using a bit of the ERS, and this guy ahead of me, his red light was flashing, so I kept on using the battery. Was thinking about going down the inside and just trying to put him off a little bit. That makes him go wide, and we're going to get a little bit of a better exit. And now we've managed to get 2 in 1 in the space of 2 corners, and now we're up into P7, and the guy ahead of me, Mark, we're going to try and get within the DRS zone by the end of turn 1. So we're going to use a bit of the battery here, because if you get the DRS, that's going to really propel you in a straight line. And I wanted to try and be as efficient as I possibly can. So now we are actually going to be using this battery, pushing with this battery now, trying to get within the DRS, but we actually turn it off going through this turn 1, because quite similar to how it was in the previous lap, even if I got the DRS here now, I'm just going to catch him towards the end of the lap anyway, and I'm not really going to waste this battery. So I was watching the delta at the top, could have used maybe a tiny bit here, but I don't think that would have really made too much of a difference. So we decided to save a bit more of the battery instead and actually catch him towards the end of the lap. But as we come towards the end of this lap now, going through the penultimate corner, he actually runs off the car, almost loses the car. He does lose the car. We could have easily been collected there, and that is now up into 6th place, and the lead group is up ahead. You can see Blockman, that purple car on the minimap, has pulled away, so it's going to be quite difficult to catch him. But I can see on the minimap I was actually starting to close in quite a bit on this lead group, because my pace around here, like I said, I feel is very, very strong. Actually won a league race recently. Someone else has gone off, and that has actually brought out the virtual safety car. So we need to decide if we're going to try and take advantage of this, because you actually lose a lot less time under the virtual safety car since everyone else is traveling a lot slower. So Blockman actually continues. So whatever he did, I was actually going to do the opposite. So I decided to go into the pits here now, but we make a bit of an error, and coming into here, we speed by about 1 mile an hour over, and that is giving us a 5-second time penalty. And at that point, the race, you would think, is actually just completely over. So a bit of a rookie mistake here. Should have just maybe paid a little bit more caution, and the virtual safety car has now finished. We're going to come out in P7 on the soft tyres going towards the end of the race, but Blockman, he's going to be able to pit for much fresher tyres, and yeah, I knew his pace was going to be probably good enough to probably close in on me with those fresher tyres. So we're going to try and do the best we can. NLC just decides to let me go, because we are on a different tyre compound, so he's just going to let me go, and that's actually helped me quite a bit. So we're just going to keep on pushing, coming up to some traffic now, some people who haven't pitted. So I was thinking I got the inside here. We're going to use the ERS on the exit of this corner, just trying to get this move done. And it looks like Blockman, that purple car, has elected to pit. So the virtual safety car, we would have gained actually quite a bit of time from that, but he did pit, or has now pitted 2 laps later, but we do have that 5-second time penalty hangover. So we're actually going to take the net lead of this race, because the other people up ahead of me haven't pitted yet, but you can see he's actually come out pretty close to me. So yeah, although I felt like I had half a second of pace with those 2 lap fresher tyres, that's probably going to negate that quite a bit, and I don't think he's really going full outside these 5 seconds. So right here now, you can see I'm actually pushing very, very hard just to try and break that DRS zone. If I had any chance this race, I needed to pull 5 seconds in the next 7 or so laps, which I think is going to be quite a difficult task, considering the tyre advantage that he has and just the pace that he has as well. It's going to be quite difficult, but my only chance is to break out of this DRS zone and put quite a few cars in between us, hoping that he maybe gets held up. That was really kind of the strategy here, and I'm just trying to get within the DRS zone of this guy up ahead, which we managed to do quite nicely, and I think we're about to set the fastest lap of the race. But you can see he hasn't really dropped off too much. He's only about 1.2 seconds behind, and yeah, we are just doing almost everything we can at this rate. So we're going to try and get past Guzman without using too much of the battery. So we're on these soft tyres. He's still stayed out on these hard tyres, so we should be having much more grip than him. We're not using the battery here because we want to try and save it as much as we can, try and avoid going underneath 10%, but he's actually using a bit of it here, so we're going to go around the outside with that superior grip. Absolutely no contest on these 2 tyre compounds, but you can see again, Blockman is still staying within 1.2 seconds, but Hemphead has just retired for a session, and that's actually brought out the safety car, which is exactly what I needed right now. And since the safety car has now come out, I can actually get rid of this 5-second penalty. So we are going to box because it's something we probably would have done anyway. But we're going to box, put on a new set of soft tyres, and what does Blockman do? Does he come in or does he stay out? And looks like he is actually staying out, which I think on his part, he probably should have come in because he would have had fresher tyres or had the same freshness of tyres and been ahead of me because I had to serve this 5-second time penalty. But he's actually decided to stay out. So we're going to have about a lap or two fresher tyres than him. And now this penalty is going to be removed. So you can see we had to wait for 5 seconds. Now we're going to go out on these fresh soft tyres. And we are coming out in P5. So he's going to be leading this race, but we're going to have fresher tyres. And now it is actually well and truly game on in this race. So as the safety car is going to come in this lap, we're going to have 4 laps of this race to go. And all we need to do now is just get past these cars as quick as we can. So we've got to try and negate the advantage that Blockwood is probably going to get at the start of this race. Try and not let him get away too much, but I knew he does have some pretty decent pace, so we're just holding back here, just trying to get a really good run onto the start finish straight, in which we don't get too badly. But these guys up ahead of me are on the medium tyres, so we should be much faster than these guys. But there is no DRS until really I think the last lap of this race. So Dutch Verstappen again, good friend of mine. Is he going to play easy this time? Looks like he's not, so he's using quite a bit of the battery here, so we're just going to hang back and stay on board until the end of this race. You can see Blockman has already got a little bit of a gap, but I need to get past some of these cars now, otherwise the gap is simply going to be too big. So we get past him. Doesn't look like he fights it too much here, so up into P4, and now we need to get these 2 cars very quickly. See the gap Blockman has. Looks like he's already about 2 seconds away at this point. So on these soft tyres, you really got to try and make the advantage of them as much as possibly can. So going for it here, staying in 4th gear or 4th position. Are we going to use the ERS here? So using a little bit, but looks like these 2 guys are using it as well. And this is not what I want. I don't want to be fighting these 2. I was thinking about getting the inside here, but that is just allowing Blockman to get away. So saving this ERS. I knew my car was actually pretty fast in a straight line, but we don't have the benefit of the DRS. So get a really good exit coming here. We get a really good exit, and now we need to dispatch of Guzman as soon as we possibly can. So up into P3. So the gap is 2.2 seconds to Blockwood. So we've got to get past Z Milk on this lap, otherwise the gap is simply going to be too big. But we get a really poor exit coming off this corner, and yeah, we are not going to be close enough to get this move done. So I'm actually going to stay behind him here because I think the DRS might be activated next lap. But you can see we actually are still closing a little bit in on Bopper, but Z-Milk is actually defending really hard. So I've got to try and get past him now because I knew I'd just be losing too much time. So I've got side by side here. We do have the fresher tyres, I believe, and now we've got this move done up into P2, but we are down to 47% of the battery. And I presume that Blockman probably hadn't really been pushing too much with the battery. But the good thing is we have a lap fresher tyres, or a lap or 2 fresher tyres. Felt like I probably had half a second lap in pace. So really, we should hopefully be able to close in them. So we're going to have to use all of our battery now. So we've got 3 laps of this race to go. The gap is 1.8 seconds, but we are almost underneath 10% of this battery. So we've got to give it absolutely everything here. It's really through the midfield section. That's where we've got to let the driving really reduce that gap as much as we possibly can. So 1.7 seconds. This is the point where we really need to use these tyres to get within that DRS zone. And right now, I'm absolutely pushing as hard as I possibly can. So just giving it absolutely everything. You can see that Delta is coming down pretty quickly here. You can see in the middle sector we've gained about 2 or 3 tenths of a second. But again, I suspected that he had probably a lot more battery than me at this stage of the race. And doing absolutely everything. We're actually giving ourselves a warning here. So I think one more warning and that will be a 3-second time penalty. But we're trying to stop the battery from going underneath 10% because otherwise you've got to be losing so much straight line speed. So just giving it absolutely everything we can. We still have Guzman behind us, and right now we have no choice. We have to deploy all of this battery, and you can see Blockman has got more battery now, so he's actually getting quite a bit of time in a straight line. So we've got to get within this DRS zone We're underneath 10% of the battery, but we know in the middle sector, with our pace and with the freshness of these tyres, that we should be able to get within that DRS zone of Blockburst. So just giving it absolutely everything here. This is the sector where we need to be getting under that 1 second. We're actually underneath 1 second, but again, I knew that we probably had a lot less battery than him. He probably has been saving it, defending for the last lap, anticipating that we might get within that DRS zone. So we are within that 1 second now. Got a little bit of a gap to Gosman behind, so not as much pressure from behind. And now this is the last lap. Can we do this the first round here? So starting the last lap here now. What do we do? So we're going to save the battery here. Really important to get a good exit coming off this corner. And we actually get a very, very good exit. So are we going to use any battery? The answer is no. You can see he's actually deploying a little bit of his, but his red light is flashing as well. So we are both down to underneath 10% of the battery. So really maximize the track here. We actually got a bit deep, but he makes a bit of a mistake on the exit. Now we're going to be using this battery, and let's see what we can do. So the power of this DRS, what are we going to do? Are we going to go to the left? No, we're just going to simply just go down the inside. He doesn't defend that position. Using the ERS on the exit, the freshness of the tyres. This is pretty much almost game, set, and match here. And I don't think there's absolutely anything he could do. And you can already see we are creating that gap with the pace and the freshness of the tyres. I think he should have probably just defended down that inside, because then that would have made it really difficult for me. Coming through the last couple of corners now, you can see the gap is going up all the time. And we've managed to do the last to first with a little bit of luck as a safety car. We have managed to win from last. And yeah, pretty much made all the right decisions there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out www.coachlimitless.com for a one-to-one session with me. Make sure you hit the join button if you'd like to join my open lobbies, which I will be streaming hopefully a little bit later this week. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.